Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Unique Moments, where we take a moment to breathe and take a moment to pause, reconnecting our mind, body, and spirit. And so we are continuing with our chakra series. We are at the throat chakra, the fifth chakra. And then the affirmation on the card says, I respect the power of my words. I respect the power of my words. So, this is the fifth chakra. It's located at the throat. And the color, it says turquoise, but I've seen it like sky blue, like any kind of blue color. And then the card says the throat chakra, located at the base of the throat, relates to the ability to communicate ideas and speak up for your beliefs. It really just has to do with expression. So, speaking, communication, words, expression, living your truth, speaking your truth, living authentically, living like the most authentic version of yourself. And so we're going to talk about what it looks like when it is out of balance or maybe overactive or underactive. And then what it looks like when it is balanced, and then some tools, techniques, things you can do to balance it back out if you um, do notice that maybe it is imbalance or that you just need a little more throat chakra energy. And so, what does it look like when your throat chakra is out of balance? So this can look like, and more in like the underactive sense, shyness, inability to verbalize things, inability to say what you mean or say what you're thinking. And the throat chakra is also very closely linked to the heart chakra when you think about expression. Um, because you're speaking, right? You're either speaking from your heart or you're speaking from your mind or you're speaking from some conscious place. So it's like it's connected to the heart because if you're talking about expressing yourself and hopefully expressing yourself authentically, you have to have a connection with yourself and then a connection to your heart to know what does it sound like when I speak authentically? What do I sound like when I'm speaking as myself authentically, not trying to put on a mask or not trying to people please or not trying to, be the voice of this brand or be the voice of this person who does this. No, what does it sound like when I'm being myself? If I had, um, you know, no filter, maybe not no filter, but if I didn't have to, pay so much attention to how I'm being perceived and if this is going to be offensive, and if you're not paying attention to all of that, what does it really sound like when you're speaking just as you? And so an underactive throat chakra can look like just not speaking up, being shy, and then dishonesty. So I think lying is a thing in itself, but if you're someone who lies a lot or you know people who do, and maybe you're lying to protect someone's feelings and you think there's honor in that, I don't know. Or I don't know, people have all sorts of reasons why they lie. But if you lie, or if you're a compulsive liar, or if you just, are not telling the whole truth within it, which in itself is a kind of a lie, then that's a sign that the throat chakra is out of balance because you're not being authentic. You're not being true. You're not being genuine. You're having to make up something to say or to perform or to act in a way that's dishonest. And then also criticism. If you're highly, highly critical of yourself, highly critical of others. If you always have something to say, look at what she did, look at what she's wearing, you won't believe what just happened, and you won't believe that's more gossiping, but still the same thing. It's like running your mouth. Why are you running your mouth so much? If it's not productive. And also excessive talking. And I would say this is more on the overactive side. If you just talk and 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 talk, if it's your job to talk, if that's what you do for a living, okay, cool. But always talking all the time, never letting anybody else speak, always having to overpower everyone and thinking that what you have to say is more important than what someone else has to say, being overly opinionated. It's one thing to stand in your truth and know who you are and know your beliefs and your values and what you're not budging on and how you like to live and the kind of things that you like to do. But if you're overly opinionated and my way or the highway and this is right and this is wrong, and it's like you have too much activity going on. Why can't you hold another person's perspective? even if it's not your own. It's not saying that you have to adopt how the other person feels or what they think, but can you listen? That's the other side of the thing. It's talking is not only talking, it's can you listen as well? Can you listen as well? Those people who just like to speak and then just speak and speak and speak, and then you say something and they didn't hear a word you said. They didn't hear a single word you said. They got an overactive throat chakra. Like you just have to, and that can come from so many things. A lot of people, maybe you couldn't speak your mind growing up. Maybe you weren't allowed to have an opinion, or if you were allowed to have an opinion, you never shared it with anyone, or maybe you were silenced in a way. And so now in your adulthood or now later in life, when you don't have so many rules and restrictions, you feel the need to speak freely. And as we all should be speaking very, very freely, especially if we're living authentically, especially if we're getting back to self, speak your mind and say what's on your mind. But you don't have to say every single thought. You don't have to say everything that you're thinking. And I think um, just knowing when to say, knowing when to talk, and then knowing when to shut up, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. Whenever I was younger, I know I had a very underactive throat chakra, and like I said before, I leaned way more toward introversion. I think I'm an ambivert because I can be extroverted when I need to be, if I need to be, but 9 times out of 10, I'm to myself, introverted in my own world, recharging my batteries. I never wanted to talk. And people would say that I was shy, or that, shy was the thing, like, oh, she's shy, she's soft spoken, when really I just didn't feel like talking. And there's many reasons why maybe that energy could have been like blocked, or maybe it didn't want to come out, or for so many different reasons. But regardless, I had a very, very underactive throat chakra. But the thing about these energies, the energy centers, if they are blocked, either being underactive or overactive, the energy is still going to find a way to get out, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed and transmuted. So just because you're not expressing the energy, and this goes for all of the energy centers, but we're talking about the throat. Just because you're not expressing that energy outwardly, maybe you're not having an opinion or speaking up or saying what you want and what you think and what you care about, which was the case for me. I would just listen and observe and really be a fly on the wall. That energy is still going to have to find a way to get out, because you can't destroy the energy. So it finds another avenue. So for me, I would be quiet all day at school, or wherever I was, just in public. But at home, I would sing and just talk. I would sing, I would talk, I would journal, and it's not like a conscious thing, but I just had to. Like I could listen to music and not sing, but every song I listened to, I had to sing out loud. Like that energy was screaming to be let out. Like we've been quiet all day. We went to school all day and didn't say a word to anyone. Can we please express ourselves? And so that was the kind of way that that energy had to be expressed, and it had to get out. So what does it look like when your throat chakra is balanced? When you have a balanced throat chakra, you have a respect for the power and impact of language. Going back to the affirmation on the card, I respect the power of my words. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. How many times have we heard that before? And when you really think about that, yeah, we read, you hear it and you know it, and we say that. And so it's ingrained in us. But when you really think about that, not necessarily in a biblical sense, but just in a real world energy sense, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Your words hold a vibration. Every single word you say holds a vibration. So me speaking right now, I am emitting vibration. I am emitting energy. My words have a frequency. They have impact. There's something to that. And so when your throat chakra is balanced, you have a respect for the power and impact of language. You don't just say things carelessly or just because. You don't just talk just to talk. And it's not that you only have to talk when there's something serious to be said, but you just understand the power and impact of language. If your throat chakra is unbalanced, that's probably where you get a lot of just like nasty language. nasty language because you're being very careless with your words versus respecting that and understanding that language has impact. And then also, when the chakra is in balance, you're able to communicate. Full stop. You're just able to communicate. So many different types and forms of communication, but noticing that you're able to communicate verbally, more specifically. But if you can also communicate in writing, maybe speaking is not your strong suit. And if you can communicate in writing, if you can write down how you feel, what you think, what you want, and that could be in the form of journaling, that could be blogging, that could be poetry, that could be however you write. It could be handwritten notes, whatever it is, but just writing, expressing yourself, or any type of creative communication. Maybe you don't write, maybe you don't speak, maybe you draw. That's still a form of communication. That's a form of expression. You're taking something that's inside of you and you're putting it on paper or on canvas or wherever you draw, or digitally. You're making something on the internet. You're creating art. You have the ability to express yourself. And then also a sign of a balanced throat chakra is confidence in your belief and your ability to express them. Again, the chakra of self-expression. And I would dare to add, expressing it in a healthy way. Anybody can stand on the street corner and say, repent, the time is near, this is going to happen. Like, anybody can say that and scream it and shove that down your throat, but that's not necessarily healthy communication. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that it's balanced just because you're able to like say things. It's about how you say it. It's about, yes, having the confidence in what you believe in, and taking it out of the context of religion, just having confidence in what you believe in and standing on that. Can you stand on what you believe in and your beliefs when no one's standing with you? Prime example, when it was 2019 and they were rolling out the whole vaccination, how I felt about that whole thing, that whole era, the whole pandemic, was very different than how my family felt and how my friends felt and how every person around me felt. And it at first, it wasn't hard rooted in any facts or evidence. It was just me knowing myself and knowing who I am and knowing what I believe and what is in alignment for me. I just felt differently about it. I said, hey, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. Something just doesn't seem right here. And I was able to express that. I was able to confidently express my beliefs and how they may have differed from the public opinion's beliefs. And although it wasn't received well by my friends or family or anyone around me for that matter, I'm still confident in my ability to express myself. I didn't let you shame me or let you control me or manipulate me into believing what you believe just because that's what the majority said, just because that's what the articles in the science, I'm doing air quotes, but in the science said, and this is for education and entertainment purposes only. This is just my personal opinions. And so, yeah, the ability to express yourself and to express your beliefs, even when they may not be in alignment with the majority or when they may not be in alignment with what other people are feeling or thinking about a certain subject. And then also the capacity to listen and truly, truly hear. Listening is such an underrated skill, I think. And it's not only about speaking just like with the heart. Like, giving is also about receiving. Speaking is also about listening. Maybe you can speak from your heart and maybe you can express yourself and you know exactly what words to say and how to convey your message and how to get your point across, and but it's like, can you listen on the flip side of that when it's not your turn to speak, when you're not holding the mic? Can you give that same undivided attention to someone, even someone who is talking about something that you don't care about, talking about something that you don't agree with? And granted, you don't have to listen to it. Obviously, you can walk away, you can turn the video off, you can scroll, whatever. But depending on the information, maybe it will be beneficial for you to listen to, even if you don't agree with it. Can you truly listen and hear another or hear something without butting in, without interrupting, without putting someone down, without immediately disagreeing, without debating, without everything being an argument. Can you just listen? Like, can you just listen? And if you can, good sign. If you can't, something to work on. Not good, not bad, but just something to work on. That's a very, very crucial skill, to be able to listen and truly hear. Because a lot of people can listen. Oh, my biggest pet peeve, and I know we're all human, but my biggest pet peeve is when I'm saying something and I'm talking deep thought, mid thought. Like, I'm not talking no one sentence, two sentence. I just regurgitated a paragraph about my thoughts and feelings and beliefs on a thing. Or maybe I'm telling you a story and you ask someone if they're listening, and then you ask them to repeat what you just said, or you ask them, what did I just say? And they're like, oh, can you tell me again? Can you say it again? What was the last part? It's like, you just weren't listening. Just say you weren't listening. Like, just say you weren't listening, save us all some trouble, and then like, let's move on. But that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, if you weren't listening, just say that. Just say that. And then like, why am I about to re-explain myself? Why am I about to reiterate what I just said and you weren't even listening the first time? It's disrespectful at the end of at the end of the day. It's disrespectful. Um, but yeah, if you're able to hear someone out and just listen with an open heart, compassionately, objectively, then that's a good sign. And how this shows up in just regular everyday life talking, again, that's the biggest thing, is just paying attention to how you communicate with people. And you communicate with different people differently. That's also a big thing. And noticing, when you talk to certain people, are you yourself? One of the biggest things that, now I know it as code switching. And growing up, I think, as just being Black in general, like, it's not like no one has to give you a class on what code switching is and how to do it. You kind of just know, and you kind of just are assimilated very quickly to how and when and why you need to do that. This was something different. I was just observing, just observing. And it always bothered me seeing like my friends act differently in different settings. And in my mind, I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, you don't act that way when we're hanging out. Why do you act that way in this situation? Why do you act that way in this scenario? I'm like, is this a different person? Like, I thought, why are you doing this? And it could be the littlest things. Maybe you have a slightly different accent. Maybe now you're like cursing every other three words. And when we're hanging out, you're never doing that. And so that was always just in the forefront of my mind when meeting people. I'm like, why do people do this? Like, do you have 80 different versions of yourself, and that you pick which one to spotlight and which one to put on, depending on what situation and circumstance you're in? And sometimes that's very necessary. Obviously, if you're in a professional environment versus if you're in a recreational environment, very different, very different. And I think at the end of the day, it is a skill to be able to not code switch, but to be able to, I feel two ways about it. It's a skill to be able to assimilate and adapt to the environment that you're in, and maybe make yourself palatable or make yourself relatable, depending on the environment. I think that is a skill. But I also think, on a higher level, shouldn't we be aspiring to get to a point where you don't have to do that, where you can quite literally just be yourself in any given situation on any given day? On a certain level, shouldn't we aspire to like not have to fragment ourselves, to not have to be a certain way in this here and be a certain way in this environment and then be another way in this environment? Like, I feel like that's the goal. I don't know. That's what I try to get to, because it's like, then it just becomes a headache. And at some point it probably does become automatic. I'm not thinking necessarily like, oh, I got to put on this voice when I get into this room. It's automatic. But again, even then, I think that's dangerous. Teaching ourselves that we can't be authentic in every situation and circumstance that we live in, that we have to put on, or we have to act or be in a way that's not natural to ourselves. And also, this shows up just expressing yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, but in a healthy way. Like this energy is very apparent if, you're talking to someone and they yell, or they can't get their point across without using profanity, or they can't get their point across without insulting you, or it's just a subtle nuances of how people speak has to do with the throat. Are you yelling? Are you projecting? Why is your voice so loud? Are you afraid that you're not going to be heard if you don't speak that way? Why is your voice so soft? Are you afraid of speaking? Are you insecure about your voice? Are you insecure about the words that you're saying? Do you not believe the words that you're saying? Do you not believe in yourself? Those kind of things. It's all throat chakra energy. And then being able, conflict resolution skills. How do you resolve conflict? Do you throw your hands up and say, I'm done. I can't do this. It's too hard. Nothing I ever do works. No one understands me. No one sees my point of view. Are you able to get along with others? Or do you have a very specific type of energy that doesn't blend well with others? And I think that's a different thing in itself, because I don't think we should aspire to be palatable. I think authenticity is its own thing, and we're talking about freedom, self-expression, be authentic. When you are moving with authenticity, when you're living in your truth, everyone is not going to like you. That's a given. They're not supposed to. And so I think if you're moving with that intention and you're not able to get along with everyone, okay, cool. But I think generally, if you're just not able to get along with people, something's going on there. Like, why are you having an issue to where you can't relate to other people? And and for small things. And then going hand in hand with that is understanding others and being understood. That's all throat chakra energy. Can you say something and someone understand you? Either understand you literally or understand you figuratively, where you're coming from. Can they feel you? Can they feel resonance with what you're saying? Do you feel resonance with what they're saying? Can you understand people, or are you just always in your own little world and in your own little bubble and not relating to other people? There's an issue there. There's an issue with the communication, and it could be nonverbal. It could be body language. Maybe you have horrible body language and you don't know how to communicate that way, or maybe it's strictly verbal and you don't know how to communicate that way. But all having to do with throat chakra energy. And then some of the other unbalanced, like physical symptoms. Again, I'm not a doctor and this is not medical advice, but things that could be related to that: sore throat, ear infections, upper respiratory problems, dental problems, ear, nose, and throat. Those are all connected. Just like shoulder pain, stuttering is another one for communication. And how do we unblock this? We're working with the color blue, purple, eating more blue things, blackberries, blueberries, purple grapes. Also, if you're into crystals, some crystals to have: aquamarine, lapis lazuli, that's also third eye, but lapis lazuli, turquoise, and then also some essential oils: chamomile, peppermint, rosemary, and then some actions to do: singing, chanting, reading poetry, writing poetry, journaling, painting, dancing, any sort of creative expression, any sort of way to express yourself. And then I wrote down some affirmations also, and I'm going to link the throat chakra yoga video from Yoga with Nico, and then also the sound bath. And those are also ways to just boost that energy if you want like a session, both of those. And then the affirmations that I wrote: I speak my truth with clarity, confidence, and love. I am open and honest in my expression. I listen deeply to others and honor different perspectives. So yeah. Big thing is communication and expression. And I think also another sign, if we're just looking for maybe ways this might be out of balance, just anger. anger, yelling. Like there's a time and a place for all these emotions. I'm not saying you should bottle everything up and hold everything inside and never express anger and never, because suppressing doesn't work. Because again, the energy is going to find a way to come out, whether you like it or not, it's going to find a way. But having just like being overly angry, yelling, getting frustrated really easily, um, just noticing, it's like, whoa, like relax, like chill out. It's not that serious. And sometimes things are that serious. Sometimes things are that serious. Life can get really tough. Life can get really tough, and sometimes it does cause for anger and yelling and these very strong emotions. But it's like, okay, is this every time? You know, I think monitoring, are you generally an angry person who like yells, or is it like once in a blue moon that you express that type of anger? And so just really paying attention to that. Again, as we get up into the last three chakras, this is the throat, and then we have the third eye and the crown chakra. And these upper three chakras, they're the spiritual nature of us. And so it's less about the actual physical speaking and communicating as much as it is about expressing, because everyone talks. We talk all the time. We talk every day. We talk to strangers. We talk to our friends. But it's that energy. What is the energy behind the words that you're saying? And you can feel it if you're tuned in, if you're tapped in. You can feel when someone is being genuine and authentic with their words, and you can feel when they're not. And I think that's the key, is getting in balance with that, getting in harmony with that, with, okay, do my words match my actions? And not only in a practical sense, but on an energetic level, do I feel that if I say I'm going to go to the gym today, and then I go to the gym today, my words are matching my actions, but what was my energy like when I went to the gym? Did I have a good workout? Did I dread it the whole time? Did I even challenge myself? Did I push myself? What was that energy like? And I think that's the kind of thing that the higher three chakras are concerned with. Yes, it's the physical and it's the body and but it's more so about the energy of what you're embodying. How are you speaking your truth? Because you can be seemingly very confident and very bold, and I tell it like it is, and I get what I want, and I'm not afraid to ask for what I want. But it's like, what's that energy behind it? Like, are you um just asserting yourself all over the place, and you're taking what you want and you're doing it by force and in a way that's just very abrupt and very what's the word? Very just like, just not harmoniously. I think there's one way to there's a lot of different ways to get what you want, but I think how can you go about it in the most balanced way? So, yeah, that's what the throat chakra is concerned with. And then next week we will be continuing with the sixth chakra, the third eye chakra. So, that was all I had, and until next time.